Get ready for controversy today. In a one-on-one battle, the top quilt is gonna beat the sleeping bag every freaking time. Welcome back, guys and gals. My name is Matt. This channel is all about hiking and backpacking. We tuck a ton of gear here. I am Canadian. I go to some pretty sweet places in the Rockies. If any of that interests you guys, click on the subscribe button over there. And like I said at the start, today we are talking all about why the top quilt beats the sleeping bag every time for your backpacking trips. If you guys have followed my channel for a bit, I am primarily a hammock camper, and we're not really going to talk about the reasons why a top quilt beats out a sleeping bag in a hammock. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link up in the cards for you guys for a video that I did about using a sleeping bag in a hammock, and hopefully that video will show you guys why a sleeping bag kind of sucks in a hammock. And obviously a top quilt is a way to go in a hammock. Top quilts were generally designed for hammock use, so that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about ground sleeping. There are times when I do go to ground and I take my top coat with me and I do not use sleeping bags at all anymore. I'm gonna go over a bunch of different reasons today why the top quilt is a better choice on the ground than a sleeping bag. So before we really dive into it, we're gonna talk about a couple of the quick differences between a top quilt and a sleeping bag. I've done an entire video on this and I'll pop that up in the cards for you guys. But basically, the long and short of it, mummy sleeping bags, I'm pretty sure everybody who's seen a mummy sleeping bag knows the deal with those. Just from looking at a top quilt, a lot of people figure it's just a barrel sleeping bag, but you don't really see the differences until you look at the back of it. The back on a top quilt is completely wide open. You have no zipper. So obviously, you're going to have weight savings with that involved. It's got a lot less fabric, so that's one of the pros to it. So what I've done is I went and I did some searching around to figure out a comparable to my UGQ banded 20-degree top quilt. And the closest comparable that I can find for the exact specs that I've got on my top quilt here, which is the 800 fill power down top quilt, was the Thermarest Parsec sleeping bag. And the weight differences between the two are pretty substantial. My UGQ banded top quilt comes in at 1 pound 5 ounces for an 800 fill power. The Thermarest Parsec sleeping bag comes in at 2 pounds 3 ounces with the 800 fill power. So you're saving almost an entire pound by going with the top quilt over the sleeping bag. The weight savings are huge. Sticking with the same sleeping bag, the cost difference is pretty substantial as well. My UGQ banded top quilt, I paid $300 Canadian for this quilt. I did not get any discounts through UGQ. I paid full price for this quilt. The Thermarest Parsec sleeping bag, $509 Canadian. $200 price difference for a sleeping bag that weighs a pound more. To me, it's already a no-brainer. So if the cost of weight savings aren't enough, let's get into customization. Generally speaking, with sleeping bags, what you see is what you get. You may get a short, a long, and a regular version. When it comes to top quilts, the customization is practically endless. Almost every cottage vendor that's producing top quilts can make them in almost any length, almost any width that you want. So you can really customize a top quilt to fit your exact body type. For me personally, my UGQ banded top quilt, I've got the regular length with a 50-inch width. I don't know if you guys can tell, I am a super narrow guy. I'm about 5'10", weigh 150 pounds. I am ridiculously narrow. So going with a 50-inch width, even on the ground, works perfectly for me. But you can go up to a 55. Some manufacturers make 60, they'll make 65. You'll generally get exactly what you want. You can build a top quilt to fit your exact body type, which is a huge deal. On top of the size though, is the color options. They are absolutely endless. Almost every manufacturer now has access to these print-to fabrics. So you can pick like whatever outside color, whatever inside color you want. You can pick different fill powers. Like I said, you can get these print-to fabrics, so you can get different designs on them. You can get them custom printed. You can get your own face on your top quilt if you want to. I mean, I shipped off one of my Matty Outdoors patches to UGQ. They sewed it on for me. So, you know, the customization is endless. On top of that, you can also customize your top quilt itself. I went with an open footbox design on my top quilt. So like most sleeping bags, you get the closed footbox. If that's the style you like and you don't really plan on using it for anything more than top insulation for sleeping, you can get a closed footbox design for your top quilt as well. What I've gone with my UGQ banded top quilt is I went with an open footbox. So I've got snaps all the way down along the bottom of my footbox here. So I can unsnap it as my furnace kicks on right now. And it's got these two little toggles at the bottom you can pull off. And it opens right up. And now I've got basically a rectangular down blanket. Now in my hammock, this is awesome because on a lot of the warmer nights, I don't even do it up and I just lay it inside my hammock and I use it as a blanket. I also love this for in the mornings when it's nice and cool out and I first wake up. I will go and throw this over my shoulders, go walk out, find an epic place to sit, enjoy my morning coffee. Quilts are far more versatile. So another advantage of the top quilt, versatility. A common gripe that I hear people say when it comes to top quilts over a sleeping bag is drafts. And people say, oh, you can't get warm on the ground with a top quilt. You absolutely can. Personally, I slept on the ground with a top quilt for the last 2 seasons. I've had probably 15 to 20 nights in the backcountry. I've never been cold using my top quilt, even getting down to its temperature rating of -7 Celsius or 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And I don't even use the pad straps. Most quilt manufacturers will supply you with pad straps at no additional cost. What this is usually a loop of elastic cord that slips around your sleeping pad. You'll have little toggles or snaps on it. You clip your pad into it. Helps your quilt stay in place on your pad. So if you're an active sleeper, you can roll around in this thing. You're not going to get cold. You can shift to your side. Helps the quilt stay tucked underneath you. You can also adjust where the toggles sit on your sleeping pad to keep it tucked into you. Unlike a sleeping bag where you're just kind of locked inside of it. Personally, I'm pretty claustrophobic and I absolutely hate being zipped inside a sleeping bag. Another gripe you hear from people all the time when it comes to top quilts is what do you do to keep your head warm? With a sleeping bag, you've generally got this big mummy hood to keep your head warm. Part of the weight savings of the top quilt, they do not come with a hood. I don't know a backpacker out there that doesn't carry a beanie or a toque or something like that. You've already got the toque in your backpack, put your toque or your beanie on your head. That's what you do to keep your head warm. For me, one of my favorite parts about the top quilt on the ground though is temperature regulation. When it comes to a sleeping bag, if you start getting hot, you got to unzip yourself and expose your entire upper body. That's how you start getting drafts inside. And it's kind of finicky. I don't know. Personally, I've always had a huge issue waking up in the middle of the night. You wake up, you're hot, you start to sweat a little bit. You're fighting to get that zipper. Sometimes you roll, that zipper tucks underneath you. With a top quilt, slide your arm out the side, kick your foot out the side. Or in my case, I can even open the bottom up a little bit. Let some cool air come in, cools up my whole lower body. Huge advantage. Now the next advantage of top quilts is how they are rated. Coming from the cottage manufacturers, in my experience and everything that I have read and everybody that I have talked to, the cottage manufacturers rate their quilts to the comfort rating. So when you are buying a 20 Fahrenheit top quilt or a -7 Celsius, that is what you are getting. Going back to the Thermarest Parsec sleeping bag we were comparing to earlier, you look at the rating on it and it says it's a 20 Fahrenheit or -6 or -7 Celsius rating. Now, when you look more into that, the comfort rating of that specific sleeping bag, and almost all sleeping bags are rated to this way as well with the EN temperature rating, which is the rating that a warm male sleeper will stay warm, curled up for 8 hours. The rating on the 20 Thermarest Parsec sleeping bag is actually 30 degrees. So a -7 Celsius sleeping bag is actually a 0 Celsius sleeping bag. That's a massive temperature difference. When you're looking at how sleeping bags come, a 20 and a 30, that's an entire sleeping bag rating lower. When you think you're buying a 20 Fahrenheit sleeping bag, you're actually getting a 30. When it comes to top quilts, you buy a 20 Fahrenheit, you are getting a 20 Fahrenheit. So with all those options I listed, to me, it's pretty obvious. It's a no-brainer. The top quilt wins out every time. So let me know in the comments down below, guys and gals. Are you guys into top quilts? Are you guys into sleeping bags? Have you guys made the switch? Have I missed anything? Is there any other questions you guys have about top quilts versus sleeping bags? If there are, drop them in the comments down below. I'd love to help you guys out if I can. But that's all we're going to talk about on this one today. I think I've caused enough controversy for one day. So as always, I am Matty. Thank you guys so dang much for watching. And I will see you guys on the next one.